everyone? Welcome back to Top Bins with Twins. We are back talking with you all about FPL as normal. We're going to provide some coverage of blank game week 29, which turned out to be the worst game week in the entire season.
For some people. For certain people.
Based upon the average, right? The average was 12 points, I believe. That is ridiculously low.
Yeah, that's a
crazy
shit of a week there.
Right? Even if you had all 10 teams playing, if you put that on a percentage, like this is an insanely low week, right? But welcome back to the pod. Paul, how are you doing?
I am good, Lucas. I am a game week 29 survivor and thriver. So I'm feeling pretty good about FPL at the moment. I took a -8 this week.
Nice.
So
okay.
Did not free hit, so have some chip usage in the back pocket for the final stretch.
It's always nice to have a little chip in the back pocket.
Yeah, a little maneuverability, for some creative actions down the stretch. So it'll be fun. I'm sure that's one of the things I want to talk about. We kind of just said this is going to be a free-flowing podcast, but I think there's going to be a lot of options going forward. And it sucks for the people that played their free hit this week because there just weren't that many points around, Which is something we've talked about.
Let's just get into it right now, right? So there's a narrative out there that in the FPL community from content creators who, I'm not going to name any names because we don't want to throw shade at specific people. But there have been a couple tweets about how free hit was the logical thing to do and it was the only choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely push back on that, right?
Yeah.
Because as we've talked about on the pod, if you want to go back and listen to 5 weeks ago, we were talking about game week 29 at that point, right? We knew it was possible there was going to be a huge blank game week. And that was something you should have prepared for ahead of time, right? And for some teams, but here's the thing, right? Wait.
I don't think.
Here's the thing. I'm just saying, if you planned ahead, understanding that 29 was going to be a big blank game weekend, there were a couple teams that we knew were going to play. There was no doubt about it. You could have pivoted your team to get in players where you could at least filled 6 or 7 without having to use your free hit and saving a big points hit in the long run. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is that long-term planning was the win for this week.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it goes. Really, at the end of the day, it's. I think one of our big things too for both of us is that planning's probably the most important aspect of this. But when it comes down to a free hit chip, I think both of us kind of land in the camp of when you use that in a double game week or in a situation where you can more so maximize your points rather than just play defense for a week. Because at the end of the day, if you prepare the right way for it, you should be able to navigate that from the correct perspective.
This is very simplistic from a data and kind of just numbers perspective. If you have 11 players, right, and they play one fixture, the floor for the potential points they can get is half of what players can get if you have a free hit team full of doublers.
Yeah.
Right? Say all 11 are playing in both the entirety of the 3 fixtures we're looking at here, right? For the ones who just are, you're filling in for a blank game week, the minimum points you can get there, if all of them are playing, is 11, right? Or even less than that, but, negatives, whatever. Let's say people get the minute points, right? 22 points as opposed to 44.
Yeah, and it brings in expected minutes too. That's just a huge thing we talk about sometimes on the podcast also, that one of the main things is that you have to have players that are going to consistently produce, but also be on the field for almost a full 90 minutes. And if you can get 2 matches in 1 week, it just to me, it seems very straightforward. But like we always talk about, everybody has their different way of playing FPL. So we're not completely saying, in our opinion, we think there's a specific way, a better way to use a free hit chip. But like I said, it's up to everybody's discretion,
Right. And here's the thing as well, that I think to an extent, I think that a lot of people probably built really good free hit teams, but those players just didn't perform. And the teams that we expected to perform well, Tottenham, Villa, they did not perform well at all. Even Luton, we thought would probably be better than they were.
Yeah, they were not good.
It's something to keep in mind that there was a lot of managers were pretty unlucky with their picks this week, unless you had Muniz, right? He performed extremely well for Fulham, got the 2 goals.
Wonder who has him in their team.
Someone hit a green arrow. And I will say, I haven't said it yet on the pod, I did get a green arrow this week. I have broken into the 6-digit club again. So
hey, welcome back.
I'm back at like 960K overall. And there's 9 more weeks to go? 8 more weeks?
Basically.
I'm ready to go, right? I'm ready to keep rising. I've got chips I can use. Hopefully they play out well. But, this week has shown us a lot of it comes down to luck. There's a lot that we can do as FPL managers to prepare to get ourselves ready. But once you roll that ball out on the pitch, it's hard to say how it's going to play out.
Yeah. There's just a 1,000 different variables in every match, and trying to predict week in, week out, 10 different matches?
Well, this week 4,
but like it's very difficult to do, and we feel everybody's pain too.
I think
it can be really frustrating at times. So
this week is a great example of one of the things I think that's really wrong with FPL top content creators. I think there's a severe lack of tactical analysis of the teams, right?
Of the teams in general?
Of the teams, but then also on the back of that, how teams are going to adapt who they're playing, right? I don't think there's enough in-depth analysis on, like Tottenham, for example, how are they going to match up against Fulham? They really struggled to play through Fulham's press. They turned the ball over in really dangerous positions, and someone like Pedro Porro, who people thought would be a great fit, was irrelevant, right? Yeah. He did not have a single good space to be in. So tactical analysis could go a long way, right? And, maybe there's, an opportunity there. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Luke. I do think that it's hard sometimes, though, to really predict how 2 teams are going to match up in the Premier League. Because, especially at this point in the season, you have so many people with injuries or suspended, or there's people sitting out for rest and all this stuff that, like, it is really difficult to pinpoint where a team is at. Look at Spurs last week. They go to Villa. They win 4-0 against Villa, who's been very, very good this year. And then they lose to Fulham away, which I'm not shitting on Fulham at all. I think Fulham's a really good team. I think especially losing Mitrovic at the start of the year, and then they've replaced him with Jimenez, and then now Muniz, who comes in and has 7 goals in 7 matches. Like that just says structurally, like tactically as a team, they're doing stuff right, that they can just slide in these new parts.
Fulham feels like a team who has evolved, right? Yeah,
Marco Silva's done a great job.
The beginning of the season to where they are now, they play similarly in some ways, but their players have stepped up. Like Jedi Robinson, he's been great for Fulham.
He's probably going to get a pretty big move in the summer, would be my guess.
Yeah, well, keep it all eyes peeled for that one, right? But I do agree, Fulham has been good, and they have been better this season. I kind of wanted to bring up some facts just to pick at your brain and see what you thought about this. So, over the past 5 weeks, who do you think has led the Premier League in XG?
As a team or as a player?
As a team, yeah, not individual, a team.
I think it's Bournemouth, right?
It is Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Yep. They've had an XG of 11.21 with 10 goals. So,
yeah,
a little underperforming, but, oh well. Solanke triple captainers are in the mud, so what can we do? Manchester City. It
had to come up at a certain point. It had to come up. Manchester
City is second on that list.
Yeah.
Right, and they only have 7 goals, so they're off of their XG performance by about 4.5.
Do you know what Arsenal's XG is?
Really low. It's 8 for the last 5.
You know how many goals they've scored in that
18.
time? Yeah. They're way exceeding their XG at the moment.
Okay, they've actually scored 17, but that's fucking crazy that they've overperformed their XG that significantly. Another stat Excuse,
yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me. Sorry, everyone. Got a little cough at the moment. If we want to look at XG conceded, right? So what XG is a team conceding for every match? Who do you think has conceded the lowest XG?
I think it's Man City.
Is it Arsenal? Be wrong in saying that. It's Arsenal. Arsenal have conceded an XG of 1.49 in 5 matches.
It's unbelievable.
Which is crazy.
Listen, don't let me call an ISO on this pod because I could just, as the listeners know, I could just go on about Arsenal. But it's insane, dude. That's
something that was even more surprising than that. Who do you think had conceded the second lowest XG?
Is it... I don't know.
No one other than Brighton.
Shocking.
Right? How surprising is that? So
Stupian had a clean sheet, last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the first time that's happened in many moons.
Yeah.
But those are some stats that just jumped right out to me. I really thought that another one that surprised me, like XG conceded, Luton is the highest with Brentford the second.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're in a relegation fight. It makes sense. Brentford were incredible last year, but this year they have really struggled.
Dude, can we take a second to talk about Luton? Because it has been such a fucking roller coaster for them, especially just even the last 2 weeks. Like, they go up 3-0 to Bournemouth at home. It was at Bournemouth. It was at Bournemouth. So they score 3 goals in the first half, give up 4 in the second half. And they come back this weekend against who was it they played this weekend?
Luton played Nottingham
Forest. And then they get a equalizer, which is like their second equalizer in like the last like 5 weeks that has really kept them. I mean, if you think about it, if they lose, if they give Nottingham Forest 3 points and they get nothing out of that, that's almost, it's not a death blow, but it's really bad going forward for them. And they were able to kind of stabilize and kind of split the points, which I think is really big for them down the stretch run. So we're going to see it's fun that the Premier League right now is intriguing at the top of the table and at the bottom of the table. So hopefully we see this go down in the final day because we want all the drama, all the smoke here from.
Yeah, here at Top Ends of Twins, we love the smoke.
Yeah.
But there was a number on Forest that I thought was really interesting. Forest have the second highest expected points for the last 5 weeks. So they're expected
FPL points?
No, expected Premier League points. So they were projected to get 9 points in the last 5 matches. And they've only managed to get they've only managed to get 4 points out of those 9. So they really, I think, have missed an opportunity here. It could be in some serious trouble going down.
Yeah, it feels like the momentum's heading the wrong way for Force at the moment. So
it does. If they would have won the match today, I think they would have been, pretty smooth sailing from Fairland.
That was yesterday, wasn't it? I don't think that was today.
Oh, sorry, I meant to say yesterday. Yeah,
I was like, I'm not good with time, but that. Good God.
Today was just West Ham and Villa. So.
Yeah. Haven't seen the highlights of those because we were at the beach, but
yes. Okay, so something else I kind of wanted to bring up. We're going into game week 30, right? International break is upon us. A lot of players will be going back to compete with their respective countries. We have a little break before 30 starts because of that. So in 30, are there any teams that you would want to target or feel like, would be some good teams? I have a list of a couple that I can go into already.
You want to say yours and I'll...
Yeah, so I think
I agree, disagree.
I've kind of picked through 4 teams that I think would be really nice to kind of target for different reasons. First one, I think Liverpool is a must-have.
Oh, because I think they play Sheffield, right?
I think there's a huge potential there to make up ground on other people because Salah's not going to be necessarily in people's thoughts, I think. Right? I think
it just feels like the week he could come back and just be like...
He has Brighton at home. And then he has Sheffield at home.
Yeah.
Right? Liverpool are pushing for the title. They're tied with Arsenal. And they want to make up that goal differential is the biggest thing to me. I think they're 9 goals behind Arsenal in goal differential right now. I think Klopp sees Brighton and Sheffield coming home and saying, let's cut that goal differential to 4-3 goals, something like that.
Yeah.
And I could see them doing that. And if they're going to do that, Mohamed Salah is going to be a huge part of it. And let's be honest, game week 30, the captaincy options. Holland has City.
Holland has Arsenal.
City. He plays for City. He has Arsenal. Fulham has Sheffield, which is interesting. We also have Newcastle with West Ham at home.
Yeah, and
interesting.
Then Tottenham with Luton at home.
So, I mean, Son's an option there. Salah's an option for captaincy. Maybe if you're going to want to go really differential, looking to make up some ground, maybe Muniz is a captaincy option.
I mean, he has 7 goals in 7 matches, so
yeah, that's crazy.
7 straight. That seems like a decent option. I mean,
Villa have Wolves at home.
Yeah,
maybe not a captaincy option, but
yeah. But I mean, I think looking at that, Luke, the Fulham Sheffield match really stands out. I think Fulham could smash Sheffield. They easily have the ability to. I like that matchup for them a lot. Love being a Muniz owner going into that one. Another one you didn't mention that I think could be interesting is Chelsea and Burnley.
Chelsea was on the list. I just didn't get to them yet.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Chelsea and Burnley. I think that Cole Palmer, of course, he's probably maybe your most hated player from this FPL season.
He's just been killing me, man. He's been killing me. He is the sneaky, essential definition of a template player who just kills your rank every time he returns.
He does, but I mean, at a certain point, Luke, you have to
I know.
Consistent returns all season,
it's on me, right?
Yeah.
He should be in my team, but that's why I'm upset because he's just killing me.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Every week.
So one more point I want to bring up about Liverpool that I noticed looking at their schedule. So you said they go Brighton, Sheffield, and then they play United again. I think Liverpool are going to be up in arms over that match after just losing in the cup to United. I think they're going to try to absolutely smash them. So I like the run with probably bringing in Salah. I don't know if I'm going to. It's probably going to happen. We'll see.
Well, in my team at the moment, I do not have Holland. Right,
yeah,
Holland's gone.
Holland's not in for me either.
So that's something to consider when you're bringing in Salah because that budget, especially if you have Son, is getting tight. It's getting real tight.
It really is. I think I haven't played around with wild cards yet because I'm not sure exactly when my wild card's going to fall. I have a little bit, but working together a team with Holland and Salah, and then trying to get Saka and Son involved and all this, I don't know if it's possible. I'm sure in some way it is, but
the way that you make that work or you get all those players in is it has to be a wild card.
Yeah.
Unless you already you have to either have them at a really low price point or you're going to have to go super cheap everywhere else. But we have options, right? I mean, if you pair Holland up with Muniz, that price point is really nice. Muniz is 4.6 million.
Yeah.
Right? That, I mean, at this point, even getting him in so that you can have that low price point is something that's worthwhile considering.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, right? And you have 2 good fixtures coming up. I don't know if he got called for international duty. I will stall here for a second and figure out if he has. I don't even know what country he's actually from.
Muniz?
Yeah.
He's Brazilian.
He's Brazilian. Did he get a call up to the Brazilian team?
I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay, so with that in mind, if he's not going on international duty, it feels like a transfer that kind of could go early.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, so you kind of lock in those price rises because with Sheffield coming up, I think he could rise 2 to 3 times before the next match.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean,
and bringing in that value to your team, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is kind of crazy, Luke, that just looking at the overall stats of this, that Carlton Morris for Luton is 5th overall for points with the forward.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, isn't it?
And I mean,
who shouted him out before the season even started?
Yeah,
Top bins with twins. We called it. We thought he'd be a good pick for FPL. We'll go and retweet that after the pod.
Yeah, and the thing about it that bothers me a little bit though is that he's 5th on this list with he's 15 points behind Alvarez. He literally could be ahead of him easily, especially over the last 3 weeks, like owning him. There's been 3 separate instances of Alfie Doughty playing in a cross to him and Morris not finishing it. And it triggers me thinking about it right now because those would have saved my weeks probably in both instances. All 3 instances.
If you all think this is bad, you should have seen it in person.
I think I did dive on the floor very dramatically.
He did. It wasn't in a worrisome way, just a very dramatic way.
Yeah, that's that kind of sums up my essence. But yeah, it's difficult though. I mean, because there were good chances, he just didn't finish them. So, as we say, the idea was correct to bring him in. He had the opportunities, just didn't happen. So, it's all right. We move forward, you know.
It is, and I maybe something to consider as well. Going back to the captaincy talk, maybe Cole Palmer is a good captain for this upcoming week in 30.
I think he could be. I really think he could be.
Burnley have conceded a lot of goals this season. They did get a really big victory for them that maybe allows them to build some momentum for trying to get out of the relegation. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said earlier in the pod. Things are heating up at the bottom and things are heating up at the top, you know? Like, it's going to be a great finish to the season.
It is, right. We're really looking forward to it. I think that being that I'm now below 1 million yet again, it's nice to be back, right?
The air's a little fresher, you know?
Yeah, I'm really kind of invigorated at the moment for FPL. So it's nice to have that. And I'm hoping to my end goal for the season. This is very aspirational. And I'm kind of dreaming really high right here. I would like to be in the top 100K by the end of the season.
It's easily manageable with all the chips you have left, Luke. You can do it.
We'll see. If I make the right decisions, I think getting the right players is important, right? But I need to get captaincy right over the next. I mean, I need to get it right pretty much every week. Right.
So this is a question for you. Well, kind of like your ethos playing FPL. Do you think you'd be better off? Sorry for my bad. You would be better off captaining one person over the next.
No, not in my opinion.
You think
no.
Week to week?
I think week to week based upon fixtures, who's in form.
Yeah.
I don't think sticking with say like perma captain Holland. That's not how I want to finish.
I wouldn't be thinking of Holland.
Yeah, you mean Salah?
I would think Salah, Watkins, possibly. I know Villa do have a more difficult run on the outro of the season. I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, if you put a captaincy on, I think you could argue Saka the rest of the way out.
I don't know. Arsenal's fixtures aren't that great, and you wouldn't want to start next week with City. I think that's really rolling the dice with some really better fixtures going on.
I think there for sure are, but I'm just saying, like the idea of leaving.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but on the flip side of that, I also like the idea of, going with fixtures and form as well.
Yeah, let's. I think we should touch a little bit on the doubles situation incoming. So, according to Ben Krellen on his Twitter, there are 5 teams that are already confirmed to double in game week 37. 34, nothing's been confirmed yet. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. It seems like we will get information before
game
the
week
first
30.
day of game week 30.
Yeah.
So hopefully we do before we make transfers and all that, so we have all the information. But those teams in 37 are Manchester United, Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs, and Man City, which if we're looking at Ben Krellen's schedule...
Right. How is it possible for 5 teams?
That those are the only ones that have been confirmed so far.
Okay, I guess because it's other competitions. Got it.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. That's just what he said on his Twitter. So, but yeah, the possibility, like looking at his schedule, the best matchup seems like if Spurs end up, so they're going to play Burnley as their first opponent. They could either play City or Chelsea. If they end up playing Burnley and Chelsea in that double game week, that's going to be really hard for me not to want to use a triple captain on Son.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's really far off in the future.
It is.
okay, so looking at that, what are Liverpool's potential doubles? Because that would kind of be, you'd be thinking maybe Salah triple captain.
Yeah, so they're going to play Villa as the first fixture, and then it could be Fulham or Everton, which at the end of the day, I really don't love that too much.
Yeah, because you just have a Merseyside derby for the second leg of that.
That's just a lot of questions.
A derby like that, you never kind of know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting doubles we're going to have going forward is Arsenal could possibly in 34, which obviously it's not confirmed, but they could play Wolves and Chelsea in 34. And I really think the Saka triple captain would be very
Here's
spicy.
The thing, though.
Or Havertz. A Havertz triple captain, just throwing some chaos out there. Like,
dude, you're cashing in a lot there. That karma that you'd be getting if that played out, I'd be kind of scared after that because you're using a lot.
Honestly, after making this Havertz transfer like 4 weeks ago and he's just been returning every week since, like I'm feeling the FPL juice, I'm like, I just want to make decisions that are fun and have fun with the game, like,
you go for it. If you feel like it's a good shout, then you go with it. I do want to say though, these doubles for 34 and 37, there's not many that are overly exciting.
Yeah, it's
because it's going to be nice to have the extra minutes, the extra opportunities, and everything. That's great. But these fixtures aren't lining up to where it's before it happened in 28, where Bournemouth had Sheffield and Luton at home.
Yeah.
Right? It's not lining up in that way. So that's a little disappointing. But at the same time, if you make the right pick, if a team's in form, through those two fixtures, you could gain a lot within your team.
Yeah, you really could. So, I think the whole point of bringing that up is just so everybody's aware. And like we were talking about earlier in the pod with the free hits used this week, like if you plan ahead, you could probably make these weeks work if you don't have a wild card left, if you don't have a free hit available. Like by being aware of these situations, especially like, what are we, like 7 weeks out from game week 37 now?
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess 8 weeks out. But I think planning is a huge part of this. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's going to bring us to the close for this podcast.
Yeah.
We've covered some interesting topics here. Hopefully you guys have learned a little bit from us through this discussion, but I will pass it over to you. Paul, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners out there?
My only thoughts would be enjoy the stretch Premier League run. I think it's going to be one of the best ones we've had in the last probably 10 years. So let's buckle in. It's going to be fun with teams fighting at the relegation level, teams fighting for the cup this year or for the Premier League this year. And to me, I think there's a lot of upside there as an FPL manager too, because I think goal differential could be a large factor that comes into play if it's going to be as close as it looks like. So teams are going to leave their best players out there when they're smashing other teams. So just keep an eye out for that because, we want all the points we can get, and that's a good way to maximize it,
We do, definitely. And a final thought from me before we go.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We're going to give the people some information they need to know, Paul. We are going to be at the Nashville Fan Fest in the weekend, April 6th to 7th. The NBC Sports is hosting there. We're going to be there with some friends. So if you all have plans to be there, let us know. We'd love to meet you guys, talk some FPL with you, and get to know you. So hopefully we see you there. But if not, we'll still be potting, and looking forward to a great FPL weekend, although there is an international break coming up now. So enjoy the downtime.
Heads up for some U.S. content heading your way from us too. So
yes, that's on the near horizon. But thank you all for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.